What's up? Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am PJ. Want to talk about a military concept today that has application in a wide variety of areas. That is the reserve. One must always have a reserve. Why? Because Murphy, because no plan survives first contact with the enemy. I don't care if you're doing a military operation or you're planning on putting up a fence around 20 acres of pasture. You should always have a reserve. Let's talk about that. Why do you need a reserve? Like I said, Murphy, things don't always go as planned. It provides flexibility for, if you'll allow me this, the commander or the leader or the supervisor, whatever. It gives you options so you don't have to figure out the problems as they're occurring and going, oh man, we're going to need to put some guys over there. How are we going to do that? Who am I going to use? You've already decided I'm going to commit my reserve. In very simple terms, if you have a defense mission, we have to defend this piece of ground, and you have, let's just say, 3 subordinate units. You may say, I'm going to put 2 up and 1 back, and we're going to defend this area, or I'm going to put them in like this, and I'm going to defend the circle. Whatever. Where's your reserve? What happens if the enemy comes in this way and this part of your defensive plan starts crumbling? What are you going to do about that? The answer is commit your reserve to either fill the gap or provide a delay so the other people can maneuver or whatever, because something didn't work. And so we're going to use the reserve. So you can use the reserve in a military context to reinforce where something's not going quite according to plan and we need some reinforcement. You can also use the reserve to exploit opportunities. It's like, oh, we're defending here, we're doing well, everybody's holding what they got to do, and there's a target that I need to address. There's a situation that I need to attack, and that'll give us a big advantage. Well, who are you going to use? Your reserve. Boom. How big is the reserve? Generally speaking, and this part's important. You have a crew, right? You have a number of people that you plan on tapping, that you plan on using to defend your retreat, let's say. Heck, to work your retreat. You've got to take a third to a ninth. These are rules of thumb, but somewhere in there, as your reserve, a third to a ninth. You want to lean towards trying to have a third. So what does that mean? You're given a mission, you're given a task to perform. Instead of saying, okay, I have 15 guys to do this task with, try to figure out how you're going to do it with 10 and save 5 of them in reserve. Can't do it. Absolutely cannot complete this mission with 10 guys. I'm going to need at least 12. Okay, well, a ninth of 10 is 1, right? And so at least one person's got to be on reserve. Something like that. Think about it. These are rules of thumb, but you need to have them set aside. Another point, you don't give your reserve a task to do. You don't give them a mission. If I'm saying, all right, Alpha team, I need you guys to set up from there to there. Bravo team, I need you guys to set up from there to there. And reserve, I need you to set up here. But if I need you, I'm going to move you over there. That's not a reserve. That's an on order or be prepared to mission, which is a totally different class. That's not your reserve. They've got a job. Their job is to secure that over there. No, your reserve can't have a job in this mission. They just have to be sitting around waiting to be the reserve. Now, yes, there's useful things you can do with them. Yes, they're not knitting socks. But generally speaking, they're not a part of this plan to defend this place or attack this place. You have a reserve all the time. Whether we're attacking, defending, moving, whatever, you're going to have a reserve. It allows the commander to influence the battle by committing his or her reserve. Now, I'm starting to lose some of y'all. I can tell. So let's bring it back to normal, everyday people. Y'all remember or no? I don't listen to talk radio anymore. Dave Ramsey, financial advisor guru. Some of the things he said I agreed with, some I strongly disagreed with. That's okay. You do you, boo. But one of the things that he encouraged everyone to do was stand by. Let me get another drink of coffee. It's morning. I drink this in the morning. One of the things he encouraged everybody to do was to establish, like one of the first things, establish an emergency fund. And when I was listening to him, he said you need to have $1,000 set aside to be able to use for an emergency should it occur. So you got to have that set aside. You must constitute this reserve. You have to set it up. It doesn't have a plan. I'm not saving this money to buy new rims on my car. I'm not saving this money to buy a new refrigerator next year because I know this one's going to go out. No, this is a reserve. It's an emergency fund. You don't have a plan how you're going to use it, but it's there in case you need it, so you can influence the battle. Can you see how that's a reserve? That's exactly what that is. And so you can do this in lots of things. You could have a work detail. We have many work details at Shofar Mountain. And you can say, all right, you guys are doing this, you guys are doing this, and you guys are doing this. Well, now all your people are tasked. What's your reserve? What if something pops up? What if while you're putting up fence, the cows start getting out that way? Well, we'll fix it on the fly. You would be better off if you had already designated the teenagers as your reserve to go catch those cows. Then work doesn't stop here while we continue doing what we're doing. Concepts, broad brush. Don't get down into the weeds and say, well, what about this? I'm just talking concepts of the reserve. Now, here's another concept. Again, I think most of you don't have 15 people in your crew. And by 15 people, I mean adults and teenagers capable of, let's just say in this case, security, defense of the realm, whatever. But let's say you do. And let's say you're really good, and so you are defending your place, you are securing your place with 10 people, and you have 5 in reserve. So if anything happens, if all of a sudden zombies start coming out of that, oh, we weren't ready for that, I can put my reserve in here, my 5 guys, gals, people right there, and they can deal with it. As soon as you commit your reserve, as soon as you look at your reserve commander and say, do this thing, you have to reconstitute another reserve. Well, how am I going to do that, PJ? You said I had 15 people. I had 5 on reserve. The zombies just started coming through there where I wasn't expecting it, so I told my reserve, go there. These guys are defending those 5 guys. Those 5 guys are over there doing a patrol. What do I do? Where are they coming from? I can't crap out extra guys. Nope. At this point, you're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul. You're going to have to take some from there and some from there, and maybe you didn't send all 5 there. Maybe you sent 4 there. And this is where you start getting into the 1/3 to 1/9, right? It's like, hey, Alpha team and Bravo team, send me 1 guy each. You tell those guys you're now my reserve. If anything happens, you guys are it. Make sure your weapons are clean and ready to go. That kind of thing. You got to do the best you can with what you got where you're at, but you have to do. You have to reconstitute your reserve once you commit it. What's the other thing? Like the concept tied into this. You always want to have something back in your hip pocket. Always. Don't ever fully commit yourself to anything. Don't take on a task that requires absolutely everybody. What if somebody gets sick? What if somebody falls down and goes boom? Does that mean you can't do the task anymore? No. And so structure what you're going to do using not the full amount of your resources. Always have something back here ready to go. I think that's probably it. Another example that just popped to mind, I'm looking at a bunch of vehicles there. You have a vehicle, right? For most of you, it rolls down the road on four wheels. In some cases, you got dualies, but you know what I mean. Work with me here. You got four wheels rolling down the road. You got a spare, right? You have a spare tire. That's your reserve. That's in case something happens and I have to reinforce the front right tire, meaning it comes off. I put the spare on. I've committed my reserve. Now what? I have to reconstitute my reserve. What's that mean? That tire that I took off that's flat, I need to get that fixed right now. Right now. So that I have a reserve should I need it. You've seen those people driving around on those little donut wheels like forever? It's like, where's your brain at, man? That thing's temporary. Get your tire fixed, put it back on. Reconstitute your reserve. This is the concept. It applies in lots of different areas. I know you can think of some. I appreciate y'all. I have much work to do today, much. And it started out chilly. It's getting lovely, like 72 is the high. All right, I do appreciate y'all. Think about your reserve. I will see you out there.